Hello, I am Steve from Cedar Barrens Farm, and my wife Kalani and I are on a mission to help you get to know your food and hopefully get to know your farmer. Since probably a lot of you all are shut in today, I thought what a good time to make a brief video of what it's like to do chores on the farm here on this uh, cold, snowy, icy kind of weather. And then who knows, maybe you'll take some pity on us and buy some sausage or something. So this is our all electric Polaris side by side. Little rough around the edges, but man, we couldn't do the kind of farming we do without it. We do regenerative farming where not only are we making sure your pork is 100% chemical and antibiotic free, but we are restoring native grasses to Tennessee. We are taking what was once old, neglected forest, and we're restoring it back to sort of an oak savanna. I call it a modified oak savanna. You're just going to have to Google that. I'll explain another time. But you can see here we've got buckets with some feed in them because we got to supplement them in the wintertime with feed. There's just not enough for them to eat in the forest and on the pasture in the winter without something supplemental. These are buckets of water. We actually have freeze-free hose bibs. We still insulate them at night, but we fill up the buckets of water. And then the lids, we actually store inside because these lids, they'll get ice in them, and then you can't put the lid on, and then the water spills out everywhere when you're going up and down these hills. So that's an important part, is bring those lids in at night. And oftentimes too, I'll fill up the buckets of water in the evening for the next morning, and I'll store them in our walk-in crawl space, so that way they don't freeze overnight, and I don't have to, be filling up water buckets in the coldest part of the morning. So I'm going to get loaded up and head on over to the different paddocks of pigs. I've got about 6 paddocks of pigs right now, a total, if you count piglets, of about 160 pigs on the farm, although you'd never know it to look at it. It's not, we don't have barns and sludge pools and things. That's just not the way we do it. These are a heritage breed pig that works great in this cold weather, hot weather. They're just sort of somewhere in between the lab rat meat you get at the store and a wild pig. They are genetically, they're somewhere in between there. They're obviously very domesticated, but they have fat around their spine that allows them to withstand this cold without any problems whatsoever. And I'll show you some of that when we get out and about. So we're approaching actually right now our cattle paddock. I got to give them water first, although they have a spring pond they drink out of right over there. You can see it's frozen over and covered in ice, so we keep this little bucket here for them, which I'll have to bust up with a hammer and make sure they always have fresh water. We don't currently sell beef, but it's something we're working on. It's Dexter beef, which is the only the only breed that celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay uses in his restaurants. It is an Irish breed, and we love it. It's primarily for our family and friends right now, but we hope to sell it one day. So this is pretty typical. Just got ice here on the top. Gotta break the ice off. Get down to that melted water below, or unfrozen water below, and then I'll take a bucket of water and dump in there and top that off for them. This is Bonnie, one of our cows. You may be wondering, a lot of people think only bulls have horns. That is wrong. Cows can have horns too. It just depends on the genetics. This is the rest of our little herd. They've got a nice round bale to eat on. They'll eat a lot more in the winter to stay warm. They don't have stomachs like ours. They have many stomachs, and what they eat ferments in their stomach and produces heat. So you'll notice, see that snow and ice on their backs? That's a good thing. They've got thick winter coats already, which is good, but that means they're retaining their body heat. If they weren't retaining their body heat, that snow and that ice would be melted off there, and I would be concerned. And if you notice, none of them are shivering or anything like that. This is Dolly. She was the first cow we ever bought. She was pregnant with this bull right here when we bought her. This is Declan. He's our herd sire. He is a big sweetheart, and he loves his head scratches and his ear scratches. And if you come out here and you don't scratch him, he'll start bawling at you. He gets frustrated that you're not showing him any affection, but he's a sweet boy. He was the first birth on the farm, and we think the world of him. One of our little calves. He likes to get out from under the fence, but that's fine. He doesn't wander too far from his mama. And you can see they've got that winter coat. See how fuzzy he is. And again, you see that ice on his back. So he's retaining his warmth. He's in good shape there. He's about 4 or 5 months old. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look. He's not very old at all, but healthy calf, typical of this breed. And wow, eating cedar. That I don't usually see. When it comes to the cows, we don't normally leave them in one spot like this. We do this over the winter, or we move them very little. Traditional farming, you would have like, a ton of acreage, and you just turn the cows loose and let them do their thing. But with regenerative agriculture, regenerative farming, same with the pigs. You're moving them every few days. The pigs we move about once a week. The cows we move about every 2 or 3 days. We keep them fenced in with an electric fence wire. They're trained with that, so it's real easy to move them. And we put them on smaller areas to graze, and that keeps them from what we call selectively grazing. So in other words, instead of like going around and being real picky and sort of eating the ice cream first and saving their and not ever eating their vegetables, when you put them in a more compact space, they're less selective and they'll eat more of the vegetation. And then also by moving them all the time, they're spreading their manure for you. So some farms, they'll concentrate where they're fed at. The animals are fed. Then they use tractors to scoop up the manure and pile it up every so often and clean out the barns and that sort of thing. And then once a year, they might take that and load it onto a manure spreader and drive around the tractor. And it requires all this mechanization and tractors and fuels and just heavy equipment. And we don't do that, and we don't have that. And so we just let the cows spread the manure for us. All of these cows have names. So a lot of people think that's kind of bizarre. I suppose it kind of is. I don't expect everybody watching to understand this. All these cows will eventually obviously process, and they'll go in the freezer. So to tell you how we sort of deal with that is, I'm very grateful to these animals. All of us are. We have a lot of respect for them. They're making a sacrifice so that we can eat well. And so we're very grateful to these animals. And then I think the second part is that I'm going to always eat beef. I'm going to always eat pork. I'm not going to stop eating that. So when you eat something you've raised, it was raised right. The animal lived a great life, and it's a healthy animal, a happy animal, that sort of thing. When you eat store-bought beef, you really don't know what you're getting. You don't even know if it's from this country. And so if you're going to always eat beef, I guess the trade-off is if you're going to buy store-bought and you sort of don't know its name, I guess you might say, then the trade-off is you don't know what you're going to get. And so it's different. It's not for everybody to raise and name their own animal that they might ultimately eat. But I think that makes sense to a lot of people, the way that I just explained that. That's a question I get asked a lot. How do you eat them, knowing you've raised them for a few years? And I'm like, well, we eat very well. But it is a spirit of gratitude when you sit down at the table and eat. And it just, like I said, amazing sacrifice. So that's about all there is to say about the cows, I think. So let's move on up to where some pigs are at. All right, Up the hill to the pigs we go. It's hard to imagine, but up here top of this hill, there's probably a good about 130 pigs up here. We've got 30 pigs we keep elsewhere, but we just rotate them across these woods during the summer. And we're in the process of thinning out trees. We have ash trees that are falling dead, and this gets in some cases we plant, but in a lot of cases we just let the native seeds grow up, and it's amazing the results you get, the grasses that you get. So this is an area that's very much in transition. So here's an example of one group of pigs. They think I'm coming here to feed them, but you'll see they've got an area over there where they've been pig piling. You may be wondering, wait, there's all this mud, they're all wet, but not really. They get mud on them, and then that mud dries out, and it gives them added insulation. And then, like I said, they pig pile, and that's how they stay warm. And then this is an example of the electric fence they stay behind. A lot of people have the question, hey, you know, they'll say, how do you keep them confined? Does that little fence keep them in? Well, yeah, it does. They get trained to it from a young age. Gives them a pretty good shock. It's anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 volts. Can't really hold them in if they want to get out. Sometimes a couple of the boars will get in a fight or something, and they'll, you know, get pushed out and that sort of thing. But they go right back in for the most part. They have a great life. These are happy pigs, so they don't really want to go anywhere. They know they get fed in these areas, so they stay put. And even when they get out, they don't wander very far at all. It's not like they're going to Nashville to party or something. One thing about our pigs is they definitely get to enjoy some great views, especially in the wintertime when the leaves are down. All right, so here's an example of a fully grown boar right here. He's not really happy with me petting him, I guess, but got some tusks on there. And they're just up here, you know, another example of pig pile staying warm. This is another group. This is more of a breeder group. We do some selective breeding. We try and grow them longer, try and grow them taller. We raise American Guinea hog, which is, like I said, a heritage breed. It is a threatened species. It's not an endangered species. So I always say you got to eat them to save them. And that sounds harsh, but that's the truth. If there's no market for them, people won't put in the effort to raise them and keep them from dying. So one of the big advantages to raising pigs in a forest is the trees. It gives them tons of shade in the summertime, easier for them to stay cool, that sort of thing. One of the biggest disadvantages to raising them in the forest is the trees. And so when you got ash borer beetles, which, like I said, we're trying to thin out, occasionally you'll get limbs that fall, trees that fall. We had one fall not too long ago, actually with this group of pigs that I'm about to show you. And unfortunately it killed one of the boars, broke his back. And then during this ice storm, you can see we had one fall, and ironically it fell into the fence of this group of pigs. This is the same group of pigs that had the tree fall on them last time. We had moved them over from that area over to here, and after that tree had fallen and killed that boar, and so now they've had another tree fall, only this time they were spared. Now this is a really old tree this is a really old tree that has been fallen since we got here years ago, but they've sort of made like a little nest out of an area to pig pile. So again, just one of those things you deal with constantly. You know, after storms, you got to go check your fence lines and make sure nobody's escaped, that sort of thing, but it's just part of it. But again, you know, happy pigs, they get these great, you know, great geography. It's beautiful up here, and they get to stay. Like I said, in the summer, this is all shaded. Oh, one other thing, talking about geology, this area up in here in particular, it has a bunch of this size rocks and a lot of fossils just laying right on top of the ground. It's pretty cool. Some of them I've pulled aside, set aside, had them identified, and some of them are 400 and 500 million years old. Fossils just lying on top of the ground. It's pretty cool. Okay, regarding feeding, you can see this one's drinking out of a water. It's I don't know, I guess you call it a water trough. It's something I kind of invented for these hillsides. It self-levels, and you know, you've only got to fill it every couple days, really. It's a long story, but I'm going to get it set up with that water tank you might have noticed in the video earlier. That's going to sit way up on top of the hill, gravity feed to these, and they'll have a automatic shut off on them, and then that way we don't ever have to like take them water in buckets or anything. We feed them on the ground. A lot of people are like, oh, what do you feed them on the ground for? You know, you should put it in bowls or whatever. You'll see that on different farm videos on farm YouTube channels, but I don't know, it's silly to me that they root around in the ground eating bugs and roots and all kinds of stuff. They're constantly going through the dirt to eat, so why would I take all the trouble to take their feed and put it in clean bowls and stuff? It's just a lot of extra work, and they tear up the bowls, and it just doesn't make any sense. Now when it gets real muddy, we'll feed them corn, which we don't like to do. This is a breed that already produces a lot of fat, but and the corn would just make them produce even more fat. But when you're only doing it, you know, a couple times a month, just like I said, only when it's really muddy out and been raining, because that other feed, it would just disintegrate. And then this year, one of the things we're looking to do is, I've got some ideas in mind to invent like a bulk feeder made out of 55-gallon plastic barrel, and try and get it to where we only have to do chores like once a week. Yeah, it will take several hours to do the chores, you know, move them, put a new move the feeder over, that sort of thing. But we're trying to get more automated and more efficient to keep our costs low, and you know, try and pass that on to you guys. This is a good example of them lined up eating. See, I didn't pour any food in that muddy spot, but I'll pour food out adjacent to the electric fence so they sort of line up. And you get the alpha that occasionally will move around and bully people, but the rest of them pretty well just stay side by side. And then this is one I wanted to show you. This girl right here at the end, this big girl, she's a mulefoot, American mulefoot, and that is an actual endangered species. I want to say, and do not quote me on this, that there's only like 1,500 in the US right now. So we've got a couple of really specimen females, and we're in the market for a boar because we really would like to save that breed. And you can't see it because she's in the mud, but it's exactly what it sounds like. They have a solid hoof instead of a cloven hoof like most pigs do, so they're the only pig that I'm aware of that has a solid hoof like that. But they're a great breed, and she likes her scratches and stuff too. But she's very tall. They're very tall, and compared to AGHs, American Guinea Hogs, and much longer, but they have less pork belly compared to AGHs. Okay, well that's really about it. That's typical, you know, what we do as far as chores in the winter like this. If you've watched it to this far, I can't thank you enough. I know you have a lot of other choices, ways you can spend your time. I know your time is very valuable. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this and getting to know us a little bit better, and know what we do a little bit better. Obviously, I'd like to ask if you'd like to see more things like this, to see more how we raise these animals and what we do on a daily basis. Consider following us on Facebook, following us on Instagram. We haven't been very disciplined about being consistent about social media, but that's something we're looking to get more serious about this year. know that we've got a sale going on a lot of we're getting kind of to the bottom of the freezer right now, and so need to get that emptied out. So we're offering some incredible low prices on what little bit of things we have left right now. We're getting ready to send off some more pigs to get processed. They're all USDA processed, obviously chemical free, antibiotic free. I actually have to sign a form with our USDA processor that says we don't give these animals any chemicals, no antibiotics, that sort of thing. So it's not just saying it, we're literally signing our name to it when we get these animals taken care of. They're processed locally on near Rock Island. And just know if you're in the Murfreesboro and surrounding areas, if you place an order of $50 or more, I will deliver to your house, deliver straight to your home. I'm doing deliveries Wednesday. So if you buy today or tomorrow, today's Monday, obviously, if you buy today or tomorrow, you'll get delivered to your door by Wednesday, as long as you're placing an order of $50 or more. And I'm trying to think. I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. Um, I guess that's about it. We just really, like I said, we're on a mission to help you get to know your food better and hopefully get to know your farmer, get to know us. It's a great position to be in when you're eating food from people you know, from your neighbors right here in Reedville. And that transparency, knowing exactly where you're getting, what you're getting, where it came from, how it's raised. We raise happy pigs, man. They come to me when I call them, when I whistle at them, and well, you saw us petting a boar earlier with big tusks. So these are happy animals, and if that's important to you, chemical free, knowing what you get, where it came from, then I'd like for you to consider us. And because we do, we want to be your farmer. Thanks for watching.